I should use this one too? Okay. 안녕하세요. My name is Rudy Castan. And yeah, I want to share a library that I've been working on that I use to help people learn programming, specifically with C++. So I am a teacher. I used to be a game programmer in San Francisco. And I think it's been 6 years now, I've been teaching for DigiPen Institute of Technology. It's a pretty big school. They do lots of programming, lots of 3D art, and they use video games as a way to practice, programming skills and art skills. So I teach here in Korea. There's a program partnered up with the Keimyung University, and students do 2 years here in Korea, the DigiPen program, and then the last 2 years for their bachelor's degree, they go to the US and graduate. So yeah, I really like programming. I like computer graphics, and I'm really interested in trying to get other people to learn programming. So Doodle is something that I wanted to make to help teach C++, and I'm going to share these links in the Discord a little bit later, so you guys can check it out. But it's a C++ library to help me teach, and the key things about it is it's very visual, right? When you're first time programming, right, you want something kind of with immediate feedback, right? You do something, you want it like that short and sweet reward to kind of encourage you for the long haul. So I try to make it also very simple to use as much as I can. So, I want everyone to imagine, what was your first experience learning C++ for the first time? Just kind of think about that. If it was a good experience, you're lucky. If it was a negative experience, a bad experience, I wouldn't be surprised, right? My experience was this. Right? I don't know what I'm doing, right? I just keep figuring it out as I go. So my goal is for others, their first time experience to be something a little bit more like this, right? I want them to have fun. And this guy right here, his name is Daniel Schiffman. He inspired me to make the Doodle library. So there's this really great YouTube channel and website called The Coding Train. And it's just a very accessible way to learn programming. And he uses a library called Processing. And their programming language is Java originally, and then JavaScript, and they also have one for Python. And now that I have children, I want to eventually teach them programming. Like I just didn't by default think, I should teach them C++, right? No way, it's too complicated. And then I saw this, and if you look at it, like the graphics and the website, and like the first feel feels like, okay, this is for kids. But if you actually check out some of the talks that he does, like there's some really interesting topics that they do. Pathfinding, noise generation, right? It's not for kids, but it's a very, if you're young and you want to get interested in programming, it's very accessible. So I thought, why can't we have this for C++, right? Why is JavaScript and Java getting all the good stuff? This is unacceptable. So Doodle is my attempt to make something that other people can get excited about with C++. Okay, so I'm going to try some live coding here. Can I take off the mic? Is that all right? Yeah? Okay. I don't know how to turn it off, but can I just go? Thank you. I need 2 hands. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so up here I have my Doodle header file, which includes all of the functionality. And this is like the most basic to get things started, right? You have your main, we need to make a window, and while the window's not closed, we're going to update that window, and then we're going to draw stuff. So what I want for first-time programmers is I want something that's like, okay, I want to draw a circle or a rectangle, and it should just show up. So let's do draw ellipse, and we'll give it a position and a width of, I don't know, let's try 100 by 100, right? And, oh no, I know this. There we go. And we run, right? And we get our circle, right? And so what I've done is I've made an API, and this is very small, that kind of mimics the processing API, right? It's all about 2D graphics, keeping things kind of simple. So we have ways to do colors, and we can draw ellipses, circles, lines, quads, rectangles, triangles. There's different things we can mess with those. Let's see, what else is interesting? Keyboard, mouse, images. Here, I'll show you guys one of my favorite ones. That's on mouse pressed. So as an experienced programmer, I've had to integrate lots of third-party APIs into my game projects or software projects. And more often than not, the documentation was terrible or just straight up not helpful. So I made a big effort to make my documentation for this as useful as possible. So here's an example of where we want to do something when the mouse is pressed. So you get the standard kind of description, and I made a great effort to have a complete code example for every single API function that there is. And everyone should be able just to copy and paste this in and run it, right? And then here's an animated GIF of what it's supposed to do. So right here we have a mouse variable to keep track of, okay, is the mouse pressed? So on the mouse, so users, they just define this function. Sorry, my documentation is big. And then they can do whatever kind of logic that they want, right? They don't have to call this function. The Doodle API finds it dynamically at runtime and calls it automatically for them. And that's one of those aspects that keeps things simple, right? They don't have to worry about how to hook into an event system or anything like that. They just make a function and it just gets called automatically. So really great for first-time learners. All right, and then all this is doing is saying, all right, if we should follow the mouse, then we have an X and Y position, and we're going to move it towards where the mouse is, but not go there right away. So we get the mouse X and Y, we subtract our current location, that's gonna make where we need to go to, and then we shrink it down. But we don't shrink it by the same amount, we shrink it by how much time has passed since the last Windows update. So that's gonna make it a very small value. And then we have a bit of a fudge factor here. And you'll see that as the distance between these 2 points is greater, right, we'll scale it down and it'll be very fast. But as the distance between them is very smaller, right, we're still scaling by this kind of same amount, so the speed is gonna be a lot smaller. And then what we should get is something that kind of decelerates as it gets close to the mouse. Oh wait, this is my old one, sorry. Gotta close it. There we go. All right, so you can see now it's kind of far away, it's gonna go fast, and then it kind of slows down, right? And you can press it and hold it, right? And immediately it's responding to what you're doing. And the amount of code that we have to make is not too bad, right? It's not overly complicated. We're not talking about anything about pointers or anything kind of scary, right? We're just having some fun. And that's really what I'm all about. So I use this in my classroom as well. So let me show you some of the results of some student assignments, some student work that they have done with this. So to start off, we try to not worry about making any kind of loops and just kind of make something kind of simple, right? The basics of programming is you're giving instructions, right? Do steps A, B, C. So we have them draw something. We have them draw their favorite food. So let's start with Solbin's favorite food. So that looks like a very tasty sandwich, right? And the code for this is pretty simple. It's draw a triangle, draw some lines, set the color, right? It's not overly complicated. And if you ask someone to make something that they want to make, they're going to put a lot of detail into it because they're motivated by making their own creation. So I like this one, and then I also like Yesel's. Right? And so yeah, we got ice cream, we got donuts, different colors, different kind of decorations. And the code for this, we'll just take a quick peek. Oops, not this one. I want this one. Okay. It's a lot of hard coding. Of course, we teach them about some simple keywords like const expr, right? Give a name to your magic numbers, and the good students do it. The bad students, well, I'll just put in the numbers, but that's fine, right? It's the early stages, and this looks quite tedious, right? But they still do it because they're trying to create something that they want, right? They have that motivation. And then as we progress and they learn more programming throughout the year, we teach them, okay, well, there's some better ways to recreate this and have it not be so tedious, right? It's, again, all about that motivation. Let's see. So I try to make first-time assignments for first-time programmers as visual as I can, but there are some basics that sort of, every C++ developer should know. Everyone should know C in and C out, right? It's not very fun. It's not visual at all. So our idea was, okay, well, what if we input with C in some kind of points, and we'll just draw some simple circles, right? So we have them create this program called generate points, and then we feed it a width and a height for the window, and then just some 2D coordinates for all of the points. So let's see. Let's do tests. We'll do test 2. Oh yeah, and this one, it doesn't even make a loop. It just actually makes an image. So if I do ls race here, now we have this points.png. Right, so it's pretty simple. And then the last one here, kind of makes like a soccer ball. So this was my idea to, get them introduced to C and C out because everyone kind of assumes that you have that, and do something still kind of visual. So it combines both the doodle and the console together to make something visual. So in this case, it's just making a single image, but it gets the job done. All right, let's see what else we got. This one's good. So a slightly more advanced assignment. We're still using C and C out, we have an assignment where they have to make a radar chart. So I don't know if you guys play Pokemon, right? In Pokemon, when you want to see how strong a Pokemon is, you get this kind of hexagonal diagram, and depending on how strong it is, it colors it in. So they're doing their own, they get to come up with their own kind of game idea and their own kind of stats, and then they have to create a radar chart. So whatever they want, it's up to them. So this student, Cherin, she did one that's very close to like a D&D kind of style. So first thing, put your name. I'm going to do Rudy the Great. And then it's asking us, okay, well, what kind of race do you want? Let's do elf. What kind of job do you want? I'm going to go with, you can't go wrong with archer, right? All right, and then this is where we get to do some stat assignments. So, where do I want to distribute my stats? If I'm an archer, I probably want some dex, so let's do dex. I'm going to do a typo here on purpose, right? And at this point, we've learned how to validate our input and not just blindly accept things. So they were able to make a loop and say, hey, this isn't good, please try again. All right, so let me type it correctly this time. How many points do I want? I'll try 20. I got 40 more points to give out. Let's do, let's see, I think FRD is like friendliness, if I remember right. And then let's do, let's be smart. Okay. So now with all of that kind of fed as input, I get this lovely radar chart. And they give us a small little description. So they take, what is the biggest stat and the smallest stat and come up with some kind of adjective, right? So I'm a pathetic, acrobatic elf archer. So I'm guessing the pathetic is because of the low strength, right? And then the acrobatic must be because of the dexterity. Yeah. Okay. So another goal I had for the Doodle framework is I wanted to take, any kind of example they have on this coding train, and they have a lot, right? If you look at the coding challenges, there's lots and lots of topics here, hundreds of topics, and they all use the very similar, simple 2D framework just to visualize things. So my goal was, okay, I should have enough that if someone wants to recreate this in C++, it should be simple and straightforward to do. So for today, I did that. And the one that I wanted to do was this snowfall one. Let's see. So basically you have these snowflakes, and then you kind of simulate them falling down. It's like a Christmas kind of thing or a winter kind of thing. Oops, I think I closed it. That's all right, we got it over here. Okay, so based off of that, YouTube example using processing to do it, I was able to recreate it. Like so. Make it a little bit bigger. So what it does is it creates a random amount of snowflakes. In this case, I think I have about 500. And we have an image that has many different kinds of pictures of different snowflakes. And so we just randomly pick one. And then we're using some very simple particle physics, update with velocity, acceleration, and we throw in some wind and some gravity, right, and kind of create this kind of snow effect. And so the big ones are going a little bit slower because they're supposed to be kind of close to you. And then the small ones are going a lot faster because they're supposed to be kind of far away. And we can simulate that with a kind of a mass idea. So this one was one of my favorites to do, just because it's pretty simple, and if it's like it's snowing outside, it's around Christmas time, it just feels nice. Okay, so let me share some links, some more links here. And what I ask of you is, if you're interested in using this, check it out, and feel free to give me some feedback. If you know somebody who's interested in programming, or you want to have some fun with them, I'd be interested to know if this was useful for them or not, right? Like I want to, it's something I'm always working on, something I like to make better. So I will share some links here. Let's see. Okay. I have the documentation. And then if anyone has any questions, I'd be welcome to answer any questions you have. We still have a little bit. Okay. And if you're like me, you have kids, or if you have maybe nephews or nieces, someone that you want to like get hooked into programming, definitely check out the Coding Train. I mean, I want to get there with Doodle, but it's just very accessible. So, all right. All right, that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.